Good evening, good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Carolina Panthers Talk video brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Well, for this video, I guess it's not technically a talk about Carolina Panthers, but I wanted to get on here and just give my thoughts on the wild card round of the playoffs, which just concluded in its entirety. So, 6 playoff games in the books. The wild card round has completed. So I kind of wanted to just go back through each one and just kind of give my thoughts and such. So let's go ahead and get started. Also, as a reminder, be sure to check out the link in the description for Game Beauty for an awesome lineup of video game themed makeup and cosmetic products. And don't forget to use the promo code Blitzball_champ, all in caps, for a 10% off discount. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So there were 6 total games, and there were games this past Saturday, this past Sunday, and just earlier this evening, Monday evening. But let's go ahead and start from Saturday. So we had the Houston Texans hosting the Cleveland Browns. Now, of course, Houston did win their division. And I have to say, Houston definitely dominated in this game. Final score 45-14. CJ Stroud looked really great. 16 of 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Didn't get sacked a single time. Devin Singletary, 13 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Nico Collins, 6 catches, 96 yards, a touchdown. Brevin Jordan, 1 catch, 76 yards, touchdown. Tight end Dalton Schultz, 1 catch, 37 yards, and a touchdown. So just a great showing there from the Texans, not only on offense, but on defense as well, as they were able to get 4 sacks, 1 from Christian Harris, 1 from Kurt Henish, Will Anderson Jr., and Derek Barnett. And Christian Harris also got himself a pick 6, as well as Steve Nelson got an 82-yard pick 6. So 2 pick 6s. Offense and defense on point for the Houston Texans. Cleveland, while Joe Flacco had been on a roll since returning and becoming the backup quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, of course, being the starter with Deshaun Watson going down for the season, did pretty well, but got to this game and just fell apart. 34 of 46, 307 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, which both were pick 6s. Got sacked 4 times as well. Not much from the running game. Kareem Hunt had the 1 rushing touchdown, 8 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. And he also had a receiving touchdown as well, but 5 catches, 9 yards, and a touchdown. David Njoku, 7 catches, 93 yards. But that's their leading receiver. And like I said, defense, they got no sacks on CJ Stroud. So just overall domination on offense and defense from the Texans. Now, let me just go ahead and say this, because I know a lot of the Keep Pounding Nation, is all up and about. See, this is why we should have drafted C.J. Stroud. This is why we should have drafted C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. Listen, I understand some of y'all favorite C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young in the beginning, in the first place, which is totally fine. I understand that. Like I said, for me, in the beginning, I kept an open mind. I didn't favor one over the other. I just knew we were going to go quarterback. With the trade to number 1, I figured we were going to go quarterback. So I figured it was going to either be C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. And I was okay with either. But listen, we need to stop acting like Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud were dealt the same hand. They weren't, y'all. Let's keep it real. They were not dealt the same hand. The scenarios are like night and day. Like, seriously. I mean, why do you think one team got 10 wins and the other got 2? Like, come on now. Like, we gotta be reasonable with this. You know, Bryce Young, yes, did he struggle? Did he make his mistakes? Absolutely. But let's not act like he's the sole reason why the Panthers didn't do well this season. There was a lot that didn't go well for the Panthers. I mean, offensive line, weapons didn't perform to what the best that they could have. And it's like I said before, we gotta really start thinking about why is it when certain players come here to Carolina, they fall apart versus where they played elsewhere. I mean, DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst, Miles Sanders. I mean, it's something to keep in mind. It's something to keep in mind. And like I said, I'm happy for CJ Stroud. Not to mention better coaching staff. You know, maybe not necessarily on paper because Carolina really brought in an all-star coaching staff with 11 Super Bowls between them. But what happened? I mean, the record speaks for itself. And like I said, I understand Carolina, one of their 2 wins was against the Texans. I understand that. That's fine. But let's not act like folks predicted in the first place that C.J. Stroud was going to make it to the playoffs, yet alone win a playoff game. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. I'm just saying, like, we gotta we gotta stop doing this whole C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young comparison. 2 totally different scenarios, and both were dealt 2 different hands. Plain and simple as that. Which is why I would like to see how Bryce Young will do with a better squad, better with actual legit weapons, a better O-line. Because like I said, some folks want to talk about how, oh, the Houston Texans didn't have that good of an O-line or whatnot. It's funny because C.J. Stroud has only been sacked, 36 times? Hold on. Let me pull it up. C.J. Stroud this season has only been sacked 38 times, whereas Bryce Young has been sacked 62 times. Come on, y'all. It's not a fair comparison. It's not. Come on now. And not all 62 sacks were Bryce's fault. Come on now. The O-line has regressed tremendously. Come on now. We got to look at the whole picture. We got to stop cherry picking things. With the Panthers, ownership, coaching staff, lack of production in the weapons, it's really an all of the above for Carolina versus the Texans. Plain and simple as that. But the Texans get the wild card win, and they will move on to the divisional playoff round. But great showing there, and they're doing great. They're doing great over there. I mean, they got those boys coached up really well. The weapons are performing, and the results are right there. And that's what happens when you have a lot of things working out for you. So, all right, let's keep it going. The Chiefs were able to pick up the victory at home over the Miami Dolphins for a final score of 26-7. And I know there are a lot of questions with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, despite having the number one ranked offense, like, how would that carry them into the playoffs? And unfortunately, didn't pan out too well. But at the same time, they were on a 2-game losing streak going into the playoffs. I mean, with the losses to the Ravens and the Bills. So it was just really unfortunate to see things fall apart for them. Not to mention only getting a touchdown in this game. I mean, Tua had the one touchdown. And just a rough game for Tua. 20 of 39, 199 yards, a touchdown, an interception, and got sacked twice. The running game really could not get going. Only 76 total rushing yards, 33 of them from Raheem Mostert on 8 carries. Tua had 3 carries, 25 yards. So just Devon Arcane couldn't really get going. 6 carries, 9 yards. So the running game just wasn't there. Tyreek Hill was their leading receiver. 5 catches, 62 yards. He had the 1 touchdown. But, not much from Jalen Waddle. 2 catches, 31 yards. Cedric Wilson Jr., 3 catches, 37 yards. So, really just rough offensively for the Miami Dolphins. And then you look at the Chiefs. I mean, Chiefs show why they are the defending champs. Patrick Mahomes, 23 of 41, 262 yards, a touchdown. Didn't get sacked a single time, no interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco, 24 carries, 89 yards, had the 1 rushing touchdown. So, looked really good. Rashee Rice, a big game for him. 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Travis Kelce did a little work too. 7 catches, 71 yards. So just a really great showing there. Noah Gray, Justin Watson got a little bit involved as well. George Karlaftis got 1.5 sacks, and Chris Jones got the half sack. And Mike Edwards was the one that got the interception. And a big thing, though, now both teams had a turnover, but for the most part, I think a big thing that stood out about this game, the Dolphins only got 13 first downs in this game, whereas in the Chiefs got 25. Not to mention, Dolphins were 1 of 12 on third down efficiency on offense. Not good. Not good at all. And it just, time of possession, 34 minutes, 5 seconds for the Chiefs, 25 minutes, 20 and 55 seconds for the Dolphins. They had 8 penalties as well. So just really a bad showing from the Dolphins. Not what we're used to seeing, especially with the kind of season that they've had. But Chiefs just turned out to be a better team. And they showed while they are the defending Super Bowl champs. But the Kansas City Chiefs advance to the divisional playoff round. So good showing there. So those were the 2 Saturday games. And then the Sunday games were quite action-packed. So we had the let's see. We had the Green Bay Packers with a big win over the Dallas Cowboys. Final score 48-32, which despite the Cowboys being undefeated at home in the regular season, they eat their first loss at home in the wild card round. So very unfortunate for them. Dak Prescott, 41 of 60, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, got sacked 4 times. So he's really been all over the place. Tony Pollard, 15 carries, 56 yards, a touchdown. Dak Prescott, 6 carries, 45 yards. So those were the 2 main ones in the running game. You had a great showing from their receivers, though. CeeDee Lamb, 9 catches, 110 yards. Michael Gallup, 6 catches, 103 yards. And you had Jake Ferguson, 10 catches, 93 yards, and all 3 receiving touchdowns. So, and Dallas, tried to make a late comeback, but just came up short. I mean, they were able to score 16 points in the fourth quarter and 9 in the third quarter. So really, the second half was when they really started to make a comeback. Green Bay, Jordan Love, I think it's safe to say Jordan Love definitely had his best game of his career with this playoff game. 16 of 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, did not get sacked a single time. Had a rating of 157.2, a QBR of 99.3. So a very impressive showing from Jordan Love. Aaron Jones went off in the running game. 21 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then shout out to Romeo Doubs in the receiving game. 6 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave, 3 catches, 52 yards, a touchdown. Dontavion Wicks, 2 catches, 25 yards, and a touchdown. So those were the 3 receiving touchdowns. And not only that, Kizzion Nixon got a sack. Devontae Campbell got a sack. Lucas Van Ness got a sack. And Preston Smith got a sack. And not to mention, Darnell Savage got a pick 6, which was one of the picks that Dak Prescott threw. 64-yard pick 6. And Jair Alexander was who got the other interception. So just a great showing on offense from the Packers. And even though Cowboys, tried to make a late comeback, some key turnovers definitely helped out. I mean, 2 turnovers for Dallas, 0 for Green Bay. But got to give credit to Dallas. They hung in there. I mean, not to mention they picked up 37 first downs in this game. That's a lot. 37 total first downs. Green Bay had 22. Dallas did pretty well on third down, 10 of 16. But so did Green Bay. They were 6 of 10. So, I mean, this was just a very high-scoring game. And just Dallas came up a little bit short. But a great effort to try to make the comeback. Now, I know folks may be wondering, well, is Mike McCarthy's coaching job up in the air after that first round exit? Maybe. But I will say this, though. I'm not surprised of how this went down, to be honest with y'all. Because, I mean, let's keep it real. The Dallas Cowboys, even ever since back when they had Tony Romo, they just really have not been able to show up in the playoffs. You know, they may get lucky and maybe win a playoff game, but that's about it. And, you know, I hate to say it, but that trend is starting to continue with the Dallas Cowboys. Because when you think about it, I mean, if we look at Tony Romo, let's see, Tony Romo. I mean, Tony Romo has a 2-4 record in the playoffs. Dak Prescott has a, let's see, Dak Prescott has a 2-5 record in the playoffs. So, I mean, we could say what we want about Dak Prescott, and I mean, the dude is good. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year, 3-time Pro Bowler. But I don't know, y'all. I really start to wonder if he might be, you know, the James Harden of the NFL. I mean, great player can put up the numbers, but when playoff time comes, just falls apart. And with him having a 2-5 record in the playoffs, I mean, what do you do? Not to mention, we'll have to see what the Cowboys do with him. I think he's expecting a contract extension. I mean, we shall see. We shall see. But I don't know. I kind of feel for Cowboy fans to a degree, because I don't know. And I know a few Cowboys fans that are pretty cool, but they're, you know, the Cowboy fan base can be a little toxic from what I've seen and heard. I'm just keeping it real. But another early round exit for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's just a bummer. But you know what? I can relate. You know, I can remember when the Panthers went to the playoffs, and I believe it was 2013. I think it was 2013, where we finished 12-4, undefeated at home, and then we lose in the playoffs to the San Francisco 49ers at home. So I know how it feels. I definitely know how it feels. Same thing happened when Jake Delhomme's last big successful stint with Carolina, undefeated at home, made it to the playoffs, got obliterated by the Cardinals, where, you know, Jake Delhomme threw 5 interceptions, and that was at home. So, I mean, it's nice that you can protect home field, but, you know, it's hard to keep a streak going. It's hard to keep a streak. So, can definitely relate. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. All right, the next Sunday game. This was NFC Wildcard Rams against the Lions. And oh, what a close game this was. A very close game that honestly really could have gone either way. Really could have gone either way. But the Lions were able to squeeze out the victory at home with a final score of 24-23 over the Los Angeles Rams. And, you know, a good showing from Matthew Stafford going up against his former team that he had played for so long. Matthew Stafford, 25-36, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got sacked twice, but no interceptions. So a good showing from him. Unfortunately, they really couldn't get a lot of the running game going outside of Kyren Williams, which he only had, 13 carries, 61 yards rushing. And that was pretty much it. Shout out to Puka Nacua, who was the leading receiver, and he went off. 9 catches, 181 yards, and a touchdown. Somebody who's definitely in line to becoming the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Definitely he's in the running. He was the big standout in the receiving game. Demarcus Robinson, 3 catches, 44 yards. Tutu Atwell had the 138-yard touchdown catch. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 27 yards. So not a lot of yardage from him. But 367 total yards there. But I think a big thing for this game was no turnovers from either side. A turnover-free game. And like I said, this was a very close game, y'all. A very close game. Jared Goff, 22 of 27, 277 yards, a touchdown. Got sacked 3 times. So, there's that. Rushing game did all right. David Montgomery, 14 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries, 25 yards, and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 7 catches, 110 yards. Josh Reynolds, 5 catches, 80 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 catches, 43 yards. Sam Laporta had the touchdown grab on 3 catches, 14 yards. Let's see. The sacks for Los Angeles. Ernest Jones had 2 sacks. Michael Hoish had a half sack. And Kobe Turner had a half sack. Wow. No sacks from Aaron Donald. That's shocking. And then for the Lions, you had the 2 sacks from Aiden Hutchinson. So really good from him. But yeah, like I said, very, very close game, y'all. And, you know, the Rams had 22 first downs. The Lions had 23. Both were 3 of 9 in third down efficiency. Both had 55 total plays. So, like I said, this was a pretty even matchup. Both not penalized a lot. Lions had 5. The Rams had 4. I think a big stat that stands out, though, for the Rams is they were 0-3 in the red zone. The Lions were 3-3 in the red zone. So that's a notable stat that stands out. But a very evenly matched game. But this was a big statement win for the Detroit Lions, who haven't won a playoff game since 1991. And they won it at home. Not to mention, they were able to keep the Rams out of the end zone the entire fourth. Or actually, no. They didn't score. They actually didn't score in the fourth quarter, but they only held the Rams to a field goal in the fourth quarter. So, you know, defense definitely showed up in that last quarter. And was able to hold off hold off the Rams. So, but there you have it. The Detroit Lions not only won their division to make the playoffs, but they rack up a playoff victory and will advance to the divisional playoff round. So, kudos to the Detroit Lions. Like I said, folks need to start taking them seriously. They're a threat for a reason. So, I'm just saying. Let's see. All right, 1 second. Okay. So then we got Monday, which happened a few moments ago. The final 2 Wildcard Playoff games. First, we had the Steelers versus the Bills, where the Bills scored a big victory over the Steelers, a final score of 31-17. Bills are able to protect home field. And, you know, let's talk a little bit about this game. The Steelers were able to get a little something going a little bit later in the game, starting in the second quarter. But a rough first quarter for them. Mason Rudolph, 22 of 39, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Got sacked once. 106 total rushing yards from the running crew. Jalen Warren, 38 yards on 8 carries. Najee Harris, 12 carries and 37 yards. Mason Rudolph, 2 carries, 16 yards. George Pickens, 1 carry, 15 yards. But the receiving game, Pat Freiermuth, 5 catches, 76 yards. George Pickens, 5 catches, 50 yards. Deontay Johnson had one of the touchdowns, 4 catches, 48 yards, a touchdown. Calvin Austin III had the 1 catch, 7 yards. He had the other touchdown. Let's see. They were able to get 2 sacks, one from Alex Highsmith, one from Marcus Golden. But that's pretty much the Steelers. I think a big thing for them is they had 2 turnovers. They had an interception and a fumble. So, of course, hard to win games when you have turnovers. But the Bills look like the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen had a great game, 21 of 30, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. Got sacked twice. James Cook, 18 carries, 79 yards. Josh Allen had 8 carries, 74 yards. One of them being a 52-yard rushing touchdown, like a big scrambling touchdown. And it was quite an impressive run as well. So, a big touchdown run there from Josh Allen. Ty Johnson had 8 carries, 26 yards. And for the receiving game, nobody went over 100 yards receiving, but it was a good team effort. Dalton Kincaid, 3 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 7 catches, 52 yards. Deontay Hardy, 1 catch, 34 yards. Khalil Shakir, 3 catches, 31 yards, and the touchdown. Dawson Knox had the 1 catch, 9 yards, and a touchdown. So those were where the 3 receiving touchdowns came from. Greg Rousseau got the 1 sack because Mason Rudolph got sacked once. But yeah, just overall, I know Tyler Bass struggled in the kicking game. He was 1 of 3 in this game, but hit on all the extra points, but missed 2 field goals. So that might come back to bite him in the butt if he continues to miss field goals in the playoffs. But overall, Buffalo just put up, pretty much just kept the pace going throughout the game. They scored in each quarter, but I think getting off to a 14-0 start in the first quarter and just being able to score in each quarter after that really just didn't make it easy for the Steelers to try to make a comeback. But it was a good effort. And not to mention, Steelers had 6 penalties. Buffalo only had 2. So definitely Buffalo played a pretty clean game. Let's see. 5 of 12 on third downs. The Steelers were 5 of 11. 24 first downs for Buffalo, 22 for Pittsburgh, so not bad. Not bad at all. But yeah, I think just the main thing that separates both teams is Steelers had 2 turnovers. So, it is what it is. But, like I said, when it came to this matchup, I mean, Steelers were able to make the playoffs, and once again, Mike Tomlin is able to continue that winning season trend that he's been able to do for his time coaching the Steelers. So I gotta do this shout out to Damian Hernandez. I gotta do the shout out to you, my friend. Would you still let go of Mike Tomlin? Honestly, just a thought. Just a thought. And then the final wild card game, which was the most recent one that finished up about an hour or so ago, is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Tampa Bay had their way with the Philadelphia Eagles, a final score of 32-9. Whew. Was rough. Was really, really rough, especially considering the Eagles' 9 points came in the second quarter, and they could not score anywhere else in the game, not even the second half. Really, really rough for the Eagles. Really rough. Let's see. And you know what the really crazy thing is? No turnovers from either team. Even from the Eagles, no turnovers. It's crazy. But let's look at these stats. Jalen Hurts, 25 of 35, 250 yards, 1 touchdown. He got sacked 3 times, which I believe one of those was a safety. Yeah, I believe one of those was a safety. They had no running game whatsoever. I mean, only 42 total rushing yards, so the running game was non-existent. DeAndre Swift, 10 carries, 34 yards. I mean, he was really the only one that did even a tiny bit. In the receiving game, Devontae Smith had a good game, 8 catches, 148 yards. He was really the main big-name receiver that did the biggest chunk of work. 4 catches, 32 yards for DeAndre Swift. Julio Jones, 3 catches, 22 yards. Dallas Goedert, 4 catches, 21 yards. He had the team's only touchdown. Let's see. Josh Sweat had a sack. Nolan Smith had half a sack. Milton Williams had a sack. Fletcher Cox had half a sack. So, defense was able to do a little bit of something. But just, they had it pretty rough. Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield went off once again. 22 of 36, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did get sacked 4 times, but still, the dude went off. Running game did pretty well. Rachaad White, 18 carries, 72 yards. He was the main one. Let's see. In the receiving game, Cade Otton, 8 catches, 89 yards. David Moore, 2 catches, 66 yards, had one of the 3 touchdown grabs. Trey Palmer had a 56-yarder, 1 catch, 56-yard touchdown. Mike Evans, 3 catches, 48 yards. Chris Godwin, 4 catches, 45 yards, and the other receiving touchdown. So Baker Mayfield definitely made it rain in this game. Khalija Kancey had a half a sack. Vita Vi had a half a sack. Joe Triton Shoyinka had a sack. So those were the 3 sacks. But yeah. I mean, Baker Mayfield. I mean, just like I said, something to think about, y'all. Didn't do too well with us, but he goes to Tampa Bay and he just lights it up. I mean, were we wrong about Baker Mayfield? I mean, 4,444 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. You know, comes into the playoffs, lights it up. I don't know, y'all. Were we wrong? Were we wrong about Baker Mayfield? Because the dude is back to having quite a career since joining the Bucs. I'm just saying, y'all. Like, it's just some things we got to start thinking about. When it comes to the Carolina Panthers, why is it that so many players that may come here and they just stink it up, but then they go elsewhere and they flourish? We have to also think about schemes and coaching. And that's why I think it's just as important as the talent performing themselves. Both are very important. So I just think Carolina really needs to fix a lot of things within the coaching, play calling, and, you know, as well as talent. You know, it's all of the above for Carolina. We can't single it out to one area. One area wasn't the cause of the 2-15 season. Let's just keep it real. So, but yeah, so wild card round is in the books. So now, looking at the divisional round, which will be this upcoming Saturday and Sunday. So the divisional round, we got the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. That's a Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Well, that's going to be quite a challenge for the Texans. That's going to be a big challenge for them. I have to see how C.J. Stroud does against that defense. But I think the Ravens are going to end up protecting home field. And then we have the Packers at the 49ers, which that's at 8 o'clock. We'll have to see how Jordan Love does against the San Fran defense. I mean, he really took it to the Cowboys. You know, just very impressed with how Jordan Love did. You know, we have to see if he can keep it up. And then Sunday are the other 2 divisional round games, as the Buccaneers will take on the Lions 3 p.m. So the Lions at home hosting the Bucs. You know what? That game could go either way. That could probably go either way. We'll have to see what the Lions can do against a hot Baker Mayfield. You know, he's been on a roll. Got a lot of things going for the Buccaneers. And like I said, they got the Lions got the 1-point victory over the Rams. So we'll see if the Lions can hold it together and somehow make it to the NFC Championship. But we'll see. And then you got the Chiefs Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. Now, this is a big one. That's Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. That's going to be a really big one. To be honest, that one could go either way. That one could really go either way. This one's tough. This one's really tough. Because, the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier this season, middle of the season, 20-17. So, Chiefs may be looking for revenge. Not to mention, they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. So, I don't know. We'll have to see if the Chiefs can get revenge. Have to see if they can get revenge. But who do I think will advance? This is tough. This is really, really tough. But I'm going to go with the Ravens. I'm going to say the Ravens and the Chiefs for the AFC Championship game. And for the NFC Championship game, I'm going to say the Niners and the Lions. Yep, I'm going to say Niners and Lions for the NFC Championship game. Those are my predictions. But it's been quite an interesting playoffs so far. But these next 4 games will determine what our conference championship games will look like. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that'll do it for this video. Don't forget to check out the link to Game Beauty. And let me know what y'all's predictions are. What did y'all think of the wild card round so far? And what do y'all think will be in the conference championship games? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell while you're at it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. For another Carolina Panthers talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. My name is Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed day tomorrow, and I will see y'all in the next video. Laters.